It is Mark Gassert, Tom Ginn, and we're live here, believe it or not. And we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. But, I'm going to do this. Everybody's going to kind of laugh, but just got to get things going here and make it happen. And we're back, and I'm going to play something else for y'all. Mark Gassert and Tom Ginn. Tom, how you doing this evening, sir?
Well, I tell you what, Mark, I always try to keep that positive mindset. Go to gratitude every day, no matter what's going on. I've had some challenges the last few weeks with a computer hack. So, and next we got a guest going to come on and talk about how to avoid getting hacked, like I
I,
did. So,
I'm telling you, I'm really excited to have this gentleman on here. In
yep.
fact, he came in full regalia. He's in coat and tie. I don't think we've ever had somebody come on coat and tie on our program. But I will say one thing. I have to share it. I'm not going to broadcast it and blip it out to the whole stratosphere. After 35 years, man, my wife is still with me. So that's pretty awesome. Today is officially our wedding anniversary. And after this is over, we're going to try round two. We tried it last night, and a local establishment just dropped the ball all over the place. So we're gonna go somewhere and get something to eat.
Well,
But
Mark, congratulations.
thank
That's
you.
a big accomplishment.
Yes.
You're in a small statistic of people that in relationship and marriage that long. So congratulations, and
Yeah.
wishing you both a
Well,
wonderful
thank you.
evening tonight.
Thank you.
Special, yeah.
So, Tom, what do we want to do before we bring Reuben on here? I think he wanted us to play something here. So, do
Well,
you mind?
let's play that after we do the introduction. But
Okay.
let's share a little
Okay.
bit about what this
Cool.
platform's about.
Let
Is
let's let's talk about Reuben Lowing. Let's talk about what makes the guy tick. And, here's a guy that's been in the Navy SEALs. Everybody gets enamored about Navy SEALs. I have an utmost respect. I have a very good friend of mine that lives here around Peachtree Corners that's a Navy SEAL. I'll have to share that with you too as well, Reuben. But he grew up in Michigan, right? Grew up in a farm. And then, when you read his bio, what's kind of wild is he joined the Navy to box, so we're going to get touch on this a little bit. But what I found most intriguing is Roy Jones Sr. and Roy Jones Jr. And then the guy does that, right? So after he gets involved in that, he's in the Navy. Then he becomes a SEAL, right? He's been in there like 8.5 years. The guy served in the Persian Gulf. So I want to hear a little bit about that, Panama and Just Cause. He's been decorated for Valor, went to sniper school. That's kind of cool when I'm reading this stuff. Free fall jump master school. I mean, war communications. He's a designated master training specialist. And the thing about the SEALs, and we're going to touch on this, is man, there is like a no quit mentality. And I think that's most cool with having a guy like Reuben on here. He can share where he came from, what he's doing in the business world. Reuben, I'm going to bring you in here. And thank you so much for being with us. I am so humbled. Veterans Day's coming up that you're here with us. And thank you so much. I can't say enough profusely for your level of service. I mean, I served 3 years in the Army, but what you've done, my friend, my hat's off to you. And,
Thank you for serving at that level. Um,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Well, thank you. You know, uh, I wasn't. You know, thanks a lot. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's enough said. That's all. That's all we can say to you. And really, we thank you. A lot of sacrifice there. Um, kind of grew up in a military family, I guess. My father retired as sergeant major. My brother went to West Point, lieutenant colonel, airborne ranger, all that fun stuff. So yeah, kind of get it. What I want to do here, Reuben, and I want to play this for everybody. So hopefully this is going to work the way we want it to. And if it doesn't, everybody can scream at me. But let's take a look at this. And this kind of will give you a good depiction of what Reuben's about.
You want to expand it because it's going to cut it off.
Salutes all who proudly served in the military. Veterans like Reuben Red Lowing, whose dream of becoming
How we
an
doing?
officer led him to the Navy and ultimately to a long and valiant career as a Navy SEAL.
They needed a lifeguard on the base. And so I'm like, oh, you're a lifeguard, that'd be a great job. And so there was a Navy diver and a Navy SEAL that would put us through our physical training and life saving and that. And I was the only one that could keep up with those guys in push-ups and running and all that. And so the Navy diver tried to recruit me into being PET scanning, tried to recruit me into being a diver. I'm like, to me, divers are just all over mechanics. I don't want to do that. I want a box. He goes, go to the SEAL team. So I'll send you to the box too. I'll tell you, that's the hard way to do it. That's what I get.
Lowing served as a combatant swimmer or SEAL, participating in numerous missions such as Operation Just Cause that collapsed the regime of General Manuel Noriega in Panama.
We were part of the mission on Paitilla Airfield. We're told that you walk in the park and we trained for like 3 years to do that mission. And right before we hit the beach, an hour before we hit the beach, they changed the whole plan. And so now they wanted us to cut the valve stems of the Noriega's plane with wire cutters and deflate the tires because they showed the plan to the newly elected president, Guillermo Dara. And he's like, oh no, we want to use that plane. One of our guys shoots a HE, a 40 millimeter grenade, and they're shutting the hangar door, and it just like through the eye of a needle, and it blew up the hangar. And then the shooting started.
When it was over, 4 men were killed and 8 were wounded. This was only one of the many missions Red participated in during his 8 years and 7 months of service. His certificate of release or discharge from active duty cites numerous recognitions and medals.
The one thing that I miss is the ability to get 16 guys all focused on the same thing at the same time, making it happen. That's like magic. That's like nothing. There's no civilian equivalent. Period.
So on this special day, to recognize and honor our veterans, Red tells us what Veterans Day means to him.
Memorial Day, Veterans Day, 4th of July. I mean, people are like, oh, it's not about barbecues and picnics and, whatever. I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of like that distraction because I really don't like crying. When the story of the Francis Scott Key coming up with the national anthem, right? We got there and they kept, he's an envoy to, work on a treaty with the British, and they keep him captive, they keep him in his boat, and they're firing rockets at Fort McHenry. And they get these new rockets that are like airbursts, and they're going to use those, and he promises to knock the flag down, take the flag down. And whenever they think they have a direct hit, they shoot these flares. And every time they do it, the flag's still standing. And that's what caused them to start raiding the Star Spangled Banner. And in the morning, the flag was still there. And when they went to shore, he runs in the fort, and he sees a pile of dead patriots. Guys that ran in and held that flag up all night. And when that guy died, somebody else went in and took his place. Okay. That's what I saw. Well, the guys I was in Panama. It's hard.
Red, today and every day, the city of Edinburgh salutes you.
Okay, shut it off.
On this Veterans Day in the city of Anversa.
I thought you'd want to hear it again. I'm messing around here today, folks. Reuben, thank you again. That was very nice.
Well, that saves time, right? I want to talk about something else here.
And while you shared that with us, and I really appreciate it, I do have some questions here. I'm just going to share this, and I know you know what this is. All of it didn't fit, but I'm going to read this because I think people need to know where you're coming from. I lead by example in all situations. I will never quit. I persevere and thrive on adversity. My nation expects me to be physically harder and mentally stronger than my enemies. If I get knocked down, I will get back up. So, could you explain to our audience what that is I just read? I know you know what it is.
Well, okay, they started doing this. This is like a mantra for Navy SEALs after I got out.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with it. We never did this. There's a lot of things that we didn't do that they do now. Like there was no program to get you in shape before you went to BUDS training. You did it. And if you were good enough, you made it. If you weren't, you didn't. Okay. They didn't do this at all. There was no, I joke around about, Navy SEAL training and Hell Week. The instructors, they're like demons from hell during Hell Week. They're trying to get you to quit. There's nobody coaching you like, you can do it. Ain't none of that, right? They don't give you a little technical advice on how to get, how to make it through. None of that. If you don't got it, you ain't figured out yourself, you're not going to make it, right? now they're some of the obvious things, like they used to scream and yell at you and like try to be intimidating you all the time, and you just kind of get numb to it. Now they're not. They talk to them nicer. They didn't do that back in my day, right? But this is something that I think it's a good idea. It gives you a standard, like a business. What do you call it? Your
Acumen or
so you're along the right lines. Your mission statement.
It's mission statement.
Right. It's like a mission statement. So I agree with it. It's like they didn't do that when I was in. We didn't have this. You either had it or you didn't, and that's the difference.
And
Wow.
and then I'm going to let Tom jump in here, but you got to tell us, like, so your journey. We've seen that. How is it for you? Because I've asked my brother this. When you transition from being in the military into the civilian, realm, so to speak, things are a little bit different. And I know my brother Dennis often said that he was used to telling somebody what to do or collaborating, and it would get done. That's not always the case. I don't want to delve into that and dig up a can of worms, so to speak. But
well, you're actually getting into what I think will dovetail what you guys do.
right.
All right. I'd like to hear more about what you do. But when I was in the military, you did what I told you, and you better do it right now. Right. And that's all my mentors were. When I first got to the SEAL team, I kept hearing about all this great Navy SEAL leadership. And I got to the SEAL team, I'm like, what? These guys are assholes. But what I figured out after a while, they were very good. They were excellent at laying out the desired expectations, what was expected, when was expected, and what quality was expected. And, and you were clear. There was no ambiguity. You knew in no uncertain terms what you had to do and how, how fast it needed to be done and what quality it had to be done. And, that was clear as crystal. Okay. I had to learn, when I got out, I got into sales, right? And I'm like, that's how I was. Sign here, sign here, sign here. That'll be a $350 check to Little Appraisal Service. And if you didn't, long as you were on the same script I was, we were good to go. But when you came up with had an objection, I'm like, what are you talking about? Did you say you wanted to do this? It took me a little bit of time to learn to listen more, to be to hit them where their need was. It took me a little bit of time to be more suave, to say it a better way, right? And so, so that was a little challenge, Like my first close ever, I was a venture capital broker. I did get a job, and they had a script. The guy that hired me was a manager. He had the tone of voice and the disposition of Carlton the doorman. And real flat. He read my resume and he says, there's a phone, there's the desk, gives me a script and a stack of leads. And I was looking at that phone like it was a warm cow pie. I didn't want to touch it. But I'm thinking, they can't shoot me through the phone. And I got busy, right? And there was like nobody was on the script. There's one guy, right? And he got all excited and I'm thinking, yeehaw. And I wasn't closing. Joel, the manager, was closing. And this guy got real excited. I thought that there was a conflict in their energy because Joel was real monotone, right? This guy got all excited. Next day, the manager drops the package on my desk, says, he said he's not interested. So I called him up and he said, do you have a problem with Joel? Said, no. It was, well, what happened? My wife said I can't. I'm like, what do you mean your wife said you can't? Did you tell me you made all the investment decisions? And he's like, well, yeah, not really. I'm like, well, you lied to me. And the whole office was like, oh. I'm like, did I quote him verbatim what he said? And then, and then I said, he's like, well, I don't really do it. I said, well, I tell you what you need to do. You need to move your zipper around to the front and do this deal. And everybody in the office was like, oh my God. I'm like, what? He lied to me. I'm going to call him every day. I called him every day for like 3 weeks. And finally he put his wife on the phone. It was her money. She got it when her mother left it to her and she died. I'm like, oh, now I understand. Right. This is venture capital. This is not for the light of heart. This is, this is like going to Vegas and playing and shooting craps. But I'll tell you what, if this is, if you know anybody that's got the wherewithal, if they, the minimum investment was $10,000, if they lose $10,000, it's like they're sticking their finger in a glass of water and taking it out. But if this does as well as we think it's going to do, it could mean the difference between whether you're driving a motorhome or a motor coach in your retirement. She referred me to her boss, and he did 3 units, $30,000. I let her in for half. All right. And I'm like, oh, from that point on, I was not scared of a no.
Right.
If they say no, no problem, who do you know? And I was a master at referrals. 60% of my referrals closed. Right. And then, that was a cyclical business. It was up and down every time we changed projects. And I answered an ad in the paper as a debt management consultant because I had, for my own personal situation, I self-educated. I came home from where I wasn't making as much money on the outside as I was when I was in the SEAL teams at first, and we weren't making enough money to pay all the bills. And I came home and my wife's going, the creditors keep calling. I'm like, tell them I'll pay them when I get the money. She said, but they don't listen. I'm like, well, tell them to pack sand. Well, she couldn't do it, so I did it. And the guy from Discover Credit Card, who was in the Marine Corps, he was a little tougher than the rest of them. And he said, I think you need to educate yourself in personal finance and debt management. So I did. And I read every book you can get your hands on personal finance and debt management, learned about a debt roll-up strategy, put it to work, put it on. I didn't know how to use Excel. I had a whiteboard behind my bedroom door with all my debts ranked, highest debt to the smallest debt, my monthly payment, paid the bills on time, did the whole process, answered an ad in the paper as a debt management consultant. And it was a group interview. There was like 7 guys there, way more sales experience than me, life and health, P&C, real estate mortgages. And the guy gets up explaining everything. And he says, with all this, they did a debt roll-up strategy. They incorporated consumer credit counseling and debt settlement strategies. And then they said, we can get you completely out of debt, including your mortgage, as little as 5 to 10 years without increasing your monthly payments. And everybody else in the room went, that's too good to be true. But I'd read all them books. I'm like, I think we can do that. It was straight commission gig. I'm the only one that signed up. They give you a $50 bonus for every signed loan application with income documentation and a check for an appraisal you brought in. I brought in 12 applications that first month. I got my rent paid for, and then 10 of those loans funded. And I made $7,500 that first month. I didn't know people could make that kind of money, and they made me the manager. And then every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, they started looking to buy a house. So I got my real estate license, started doing mortgages and real estate in California. If I had a crystal ball, I couldn't have picked a better time to do that business than when I did. I averaged about $200,000 a year, 5 years in a row. I didn't feel comfortable with the no income, no asset verification loans. I had a broker that was another ex-Navy SEAL went to law school, had an MBA, bipolar alcoholic. We'd almost get in a fight every day. And but he taught me how to calculate the truth in lending and the good faith estimate down to the penny. And so I would talk people out of those option arms, right? So I started doing construction loans. They were usually bigger deals. There's more pieces of the puzzle, but I could handle that. But that took a hit in 2006, and I shifted to commercial lending. So that's like fly fishing for killer whales. It's feast or famine. If you land one, you eat real good, but you lose a lot of them. And I get my business going to seminars. And there was the Scottish Rate Center in San Diego, California. Their monthly meeting, they had the guy, Robert Campbell. This is mid-June 2006. He wrote the book, Time in the Real Estate Market. I'm like, oh, that'll be a good seminar. Oh, my God. It was like that guy had the script of The Big Short, trying to explain it with the overhead projector and transparencies. Every time these option arms recast and the capitalized payment, the interest they didn't pay gets capitalized to the original balance, and the interest only on the new capitalized balance. Payment's going to go way up. They're going to go in default. People are going to walk away from their homes. Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers are going to go out of business. I drove to my office at 10:30 at night, emailed all my past clients, summarized what that guy said. And the next day I'm sitting at my desk with my head in my hands, like, what am I going to do? My business is collapsing. And I get a phone call introducing me to this business, and I see what they're doing. And I'm like, you know what? I know a lot. I have so many people that need this help. And that's how I got started in this business.
Awesome. Tom is in the financial arena, and he's done quite a few things. Tom, I'm going to let you hop in here and ask Reuben some questions.
Well, Reuben, first of all, your background, coming as I did the military thing, not at the level that you did, but I was Vietnam area before they started softening up a little bit. So you get the little kick in the butt all the time, and those type of things. But I just taking, and I appreciate what those disciplines that are actually forced on us to learn, right? We don't go there. We learn them they're very good at getting you to change behaviors. But, I just think what you learned in that part of your life is so valuable for anybody in business. Is, you got a mission, and you roll up your sleeves, and you're just going to charge the hill to accomplish the mission. And I think those are the types of disciplines that are lacking in a lot of people that have never served in business, because it's a whole different thing. So I just want to say that's probably, it sort of gave you that grit to go into business for yourself, sales, all that. Sort of my background as well sort of threw me in from the corporate world into the sales world with no experience, no nothing, but that grit that I learned in the military. You just wrap it up and just keep moving forward. So, but this whole platform is really about helping people better understand what it takes to win in business, and your experience and what you're sharing with us here is so important. So I just want to acknowledge that to you. But what would you say, taking your experience, is the number one thing, because I believe in helping those people that desire to go into an entrepreneur. If you're in sales, you're in business for yourself. I don't care who you work for. You're responsible for everything, that the results you get, just like you're in business for yourself. What would you say to somebody that has that desire to become an entrepreneur, whether it be in a sales arena or go out and start a business enterprise of some sort? I threw a lot at you, and I don't know if my question was clear.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a difference. There's a total difference between being in commission sales than there is having a business. You got to have that bird's eye view. You got to be able to see down the road, all right, and kind of anticipate what's going to happen, like what's going to happen coming up. We're like at the beginning, at the first year coming up. And people aren't like you. I'm talking to people, and they hear about it, but they're not really, they're not ready for it. And it's going to be jobs are going to become scarce. People talk to me all the time, and I got an opportunity for them, but it's a 1099 independent contractor. You got to get licensed. You got to build your own team. And I'll help them. In the beginning, I do all the work for them, right? Which I got all, how do I talk to anybody? Let me talk to them for you. And you hear enough, just like I did. I heard 40 appointments in 1 month. I knew how that kid, 26-year-old kid with a degree in communications, I could give his presentation as good as he could after a month, right? And it's monkey see, monkey do. This stuff is not hard to understand. It's not rocket science. You don't need to be able to do college algebra, right? And the biggest part of it is learning to deal with people. So, like coming from the military, there's a lot of things. If I knew then what I know now, I'd have said with a smile on my face, and people would have accepted it a lot better than the way I used to say it,
Yeah.
right? Or you have to listen more. In the military, they didn't care. They didn't care what was going on in your life, man. You better do it. This is what you're supposed to do. You better do it right now.
Reuben, can I jump in here on something? Because you said something I think it's very important. Is, what some things Mark and I have talked about, different guests, that, different strategy, like having a plan B, whatever it is, having a business for yourself. I'm basic. I've been in business in 1983, many different businesses. But you said something is that most people don't realize what's coming. Never experience a deep recession, high cost of money, jobs going to be disappearing. And I believe before we even got on, I believe owning and control of your avocation. And I believe that's being in business for yourself, whether that be a part-time gig or that's a full-time gig. It gives you more options, and it creates a whole different level of skills that will carry you further. So we've been talking about quite a bit, Mark and I, is what is your plan B if in the event things go upside down? And it could be a political thing, it could be an economic thing, it could be you fall and break your hip, it could be just about anything. What is your plan B? And so what would you say to those that are out there that my understanding, things aren't going to get pretty for a long period of time? What would you tell people what they should be doing or looking for?
Well, you got to get rid of that dependency mindset.
Yeah.
You depend on somebody else, come in and, take up space, suck up oxygen, get a check for that. Those days are gone. They've been gone for a long time. You better be producing or you're going to be still going to show you the door pretty fast. Okay. And you got to know how to do that. And, there's different things. I can grind. When I was in the mortgage real estate business, you give me a stack of title company leads, I'm going to find somebody in there that's looking for a loan. As long as I got the lowest rate, lowest fees, I'm going to get that business. When I got in this business, it wasn't the same. I'll still grind. I'll talk to a ton of people, boy, but it was a lot of hard work and getting nothing. And and we do the financial literacy training. We do these workshops. They do like 3 workshops a day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, once on Wednesday. And then I do them also. They do them on Zoom. They're free, right? And it took me a long time to put the two together until I realized that that's my pool. Okay, so I promote the workshops. People learn about how to make more money, where to put their money, how to protect their money, how to get a better rate of return, how to pay less in taxes, how to get proper protection. Everybody should know, but most people have no clue.
Right, exactly.
When I ask somebody, they like, what do you, so let me ask you, what's the limit on a Roth IRA? Do you know that? Don't cheat. Don't look it up.
On a Roth IRA, $7,500.
I agree.
No, it's $6,000 a year until you're 55. Then it goes to $7,000 a year to help you catch up. Okay. 95% of the people I talk to do not know that. Okay. Now, how would you like to, the way it's taxed? It's after tax dollars, it gross tax deferred. When you take it out, it's tax advantage. If I could tell you a way that you could put more money away and get it taxed the same way with more protection and from the market volatility and from taxes and inflation, would you be interested in that? Most of the time they say yes, right? My son is 31 years old. He's an HVAC tech in San Diego, California. He was one of the highest. He was at the highest level pay for Tesla in San Diego for like 7 years. And then when COVID hit, they laid a bunch of people off, and he was one of them. And he got with the school to become an HVAC tech, and he's making more money doing that than he did working for Tesla. And he's, Dad, I want to do one of them. I've been listening to you for a long time. I want to do one of those laser funds. Laser stands for liquid assets safely earning returns. Some people call it, individual banking or family banking strategy. It's an index universal life. Okay, he's got a $250,000 policy. His target premium is $168.13 a month, but he can max fund it to $1,066 a month. That's $12,750 a year. It's over twice as much as his Roth IRA. It's taxed the same, and it's got a floor of 0.75%. He can't get worse than that. He can't lose his money, right? And he doesn't have the penalties for early withdrawal. You can get that money out. He can take up to 90% in a policy loan. It's the cheapest money you can borrow, and when he pays himself back, he pays himself back. And he's real handy. He used to do home remodeling in San Diego, and then when his mom divorced me, she took him to Pensacola, and he did maritime construction, and then he went back to San Diego, and now he's doing HVC and electrical. So he's real handy. If he finds a deal, he finds a hot property that maybe somebody's getting divorced and they're just trying to get out. Just he can steal a property, right? He can borrow from his policy to get into, or it can count as an asset for him for reserves to get financing to get the property, fix it up, flip it, and then pay himself back and replenish, basically become his own bank and go look for another one. Okay. So, and there's that same strategy there's a strategy for doing investment properties that we have that you can get out of paying the capital gains without doing 1031 exchange. And that same very similar strategy they use for crypto. So now I've got a bunch of people that are have crypto that they're waiting for it to pop, and I'm going to help them get their money out. You can't get away from paying tax capital gains, but you can defer it down the road long enough where your asset grows enough to pay the capital gains, and then you're not subject to your money, and your growth is your growth. And so I'm helping people do that, and that's pretty exciting right there.
You said something, is that we live in a culture of financial illiteracy. They don't teach people how money works and creating a zero-based budget, understanding what the tax laws are available. Unfortunately, and it has been, almost 30 years in that business, insurance, securities, mortgages. So I've been build my own agency at that back in the day. But my motto to this, and I tell people in our program here, there's no reason that the average person out there, the guy that's Johnny Lunch Bucket, not, everybody's talking about the get rich quick strategies. There isn't any reason that everybody that has a career living wage can't become a millionaire before they're age 50. The math always works.
I'm in agreement with you. They just have to, the earlier you get started, the better. Like the sweet spot is like between 28 and 35, right?
Right.
And like when I showed my son, he'll be a millionaire with his strategy, at 57.
Yeah.
Right. He could retire at 57, and nobody's ever showed him that before, right? And I get that all the time. I sit down with people all the time, and you first go through they call the financial needs analysis, or their own personal financial strategy, and I figure out what's coming in, what's going out, and then lots of times, man, there's like either I'm showing them the discretionary they have left over, and they're like, "Wow, where's that? I don't see that." They don't see that, right? And then or they're upside down. They're spending more than they're making, right? So I have to go through and help them, and little things. If you had a habit of going to Starbucks and get a cafe mocha venti every morning and going to Chipotle to get their version of a Cobb salad for lunch every day, and you changed your habit, you brown bagged it, you made your own lunch, probably be healthier for you anyways, right? And take it to work, and you brought a thermos to work, you would save $255 a month. That would be enough to save to fund your retirement. You know, it's in a strategy like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Just little things like that we show people, you know, how to do it without, you know, having to break their back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You know, Reuben, I gotta say this. This is such a small world. World Financial Group. That's the agency. I believe you got an agency. You're building your own team of agents, or are you just strictly an agent?
Oh no. I'm building my own team, right?
Then we have
all over the place.
Yep. I was in the early days of A.L. Williams.
Okay.
And I was under a gentleman that founded World Financial Group.
Hubert Humphreys
Humphrey and Richard Thawley.
Okay. I bet Richard.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still active in the business, but he's from San Jose, California. I'm originally from California. So that was my roots.
Okay.
Back in then, A.L. Williams, they did the transition, of course, the Citigroup thing, and people went different ways. And Richard and Hubert went out and started. You guys are doing marvelous work, educating the consumer, what it takes to win with money. Kudos to you. Just want to let you know. But this is a really small world.
I appreciate that. What I came on board with, I've been with the company twice. I was with 2006 to 2011. My dad died. My wife left me. Car broke down. I went into a bad place for a long time. They went out and did anti-piracy security, got the LED light business, the produce business, and then I found the company again on the green team, they call it, and they focus more on the financial literacy side. And what had happened when I was with the company in 2006, they had it was a couple years after Aegon bought World Financial Group, and then they saw that all their business was coming from, or they bought Western Reserve Life and Transamerica.
Yeah.
And they found that that Western Reserve Life, all their business was coming from this small boutique brokerage, WMA, and they chased down Hubert Humphreys like 20 times before he finally sold out for like $220 million. And then in 2009, they were auditing and seeing the only place that the business didn't slow down for Transamerica and Western Reserve Life, which became part of Transamerica, right? They was from World Financial Group, and they're like, this is stupid. These guys have this great marketing, but they're struggling with their brand. We got this great brand. So what? So now World Financial Group is actually part of Transamerica, but we're not limited. We're not captive to Transamerica. I have Pacific Life. We're the number one producer for Nationwide. You know, we sell more Nationwide than Nationwide does. You know, we got 188 different companies that we represent, like 388 different strategies. We can help anybody. And then with my background, I can help anybody. And then what's happened is with this, so I'm practicing our presentation. This is like the beginning of COVID, right? Everything, I just got certified to be a trainer, and then COVID happened, everything went Zoom. It quadrupled the business for the company, and I couldn't do the presentations. They already had a guy doing it. And so, but now I had to do my own. So I'm practicing on my friends, right? So I'm calling this guy in San Diego. I've known him since like 2011. And I'm going through, he goes, man, I wish I'd have known this 10 years ago. I'd have $4 million now instead of $2 million. And then there was a friend of mine in San Diego. He bought like 3 houses, and I did the takeout loans for him. And he was a retired Navy intelligence officer and became an FBI analyst. And he calls me out of the blue. He's like, I'm looking for somebody. You know, I used to work with this guy named Colonel Johnson. He was the guy that started Special Forces. And he wrote a book. He's like a real life Rambo. He wrote a book about the guy, and he wanted to get it published. So I called this guy up, who actually was the producer for the Renegade and Punisher TV series, and they actually got the book published. That guy, the retired Navy intel guy and FBI analyst, was part of the Voc Rehab program in San Diego that used to be just on the old Marine Recruit Depot Voc Rehab program, teaching veterans how to do first responder jobs, police, firemen, paramedics. and they wanted to do the same thing in Texas. So last year, 4th of July, I'm driving to Michigan to spend 4th of July with my mom and my brother and sister and their kids. And this guy calls me up. They found a building, used to be a fracking company. They're making $100 million a week, and it went to zero with the new administration. And they had this 185,000 square foot building on 30 acres for $1.6 million, and he wanted a $4.5 million grant. And I'm like, and you called me why? But I knew another guy, another Navy SEAL here in Houston that had a source for anybody doing any grants for anybody doing anything for veterans. So I connected them. Well, they didn't need a grant. That appraisal came in at $2.3 million. Right now, they got it on a lease option, right, contract, and they just now have got their money to buy out the lease option contract. But that's going to be the Falconer Initiative. Falconer Initiative is a voc rehab program. The main emphasis is going to be video production, video media broadcasting, and they're gonna heavy equipment operator and mechanics, and they got a deal with a manufacturer for container houses that they're gonna they keep adding more to this all the time, and then they got this is really awesome. So we're going to teach these veterans and ex-felons how to do these different disciplines, okay, and for their own business. And I just put the Falconer Initiative link into the chat, and then there's a guy named Jason Cisneros. Now, when I first saw him, I thought he was another Navy SEAL. He was doing rescues for trafficked women and children. One of my Navy SEAL buddies is a tracker that was helping him, and he's fit all the time, works out, got tattoos all over, cursed like a sailor. So I thought, well, he's not a Navy SEAL. He is a business coach consultant, right? And he developed this, calls it the Business G-Spot, right? And we're implementing that into our program, teaching these veterans and ex-felons with their business how to get them running efficiently, administratively, financially, right? So they can make it through these times. But this guy does this. He specializes in this type of market where things are tight and scarce. And so we're going to implement that, and it's going to be an accredited program for these veterans and ex-felons. And I'm actually promoting it to the businesses here in Houston to help them get through this upcoming financial crisis that this looming coming up.
I have to commend you, having a mission and a cause to help other veterans, and then, felons or people that have made poor choices in their life, and they want to redeem themselves and reclaim themselves and be contributors to society. I really appreciate that initiative, because they're just like you and I. Just a few people made mistakes, right? And I just want to say thank you for that effort that you're going to put forward out there to that.
Well, I'm it's godsend for me. I've always, like you heard in the video, getting 16 guys all focused on the same thing, making it happen is just like, you can make magic happen. It's the hardest thing to find that in the civilian world, the camaraderie and everything. And then we're going to bring that to. So what my job with this group is, I got a lot on my plate. I brought a lot of things to it, like this business incubator strategy. They want me to work with these veterans. I found out doing what I do, if somebody's got health issues, it's hard to get them to talk about financial things. And if people have overwhelming debt, it's hard to talk about saving for retirement or saving for their future, right? You got to get that in order, right? And I learned that for myself. It was the wildest thing. I started noticing my confidence coming back. I went through a really rough time after my dad died and my wife left me. And then all of a sudden, and I was working out, but I was I had an assigned seat at the Golden Corral. I just wouldn't get the weight on it, right? And
Okay.
I got promoted to eating live, green leafy proteins, right? And then got turned on to this superfood green smoothie from Reuben's Grocery out of McAllen, Texas. And I started noticing my confidence coming back. I got a friend of mine. She's a computational biologist. She actually wrote a paper on the human genome, and she was telling me that there's a correlation between nutrition and mental health. And I could see that happening in my life, right? So they want me to work with these veterans and ex-felons with their nutrition fitness. Well, they're going to have somebody else do it. I got a protocol that I got through the Virginia High Performance that I went through, and got me back on track, with my fitness, nutrition, and all that. And then also, communications. I've been a Toastmaster since like 1994. Talking to people is something I do. It's what I do, right? I wish I'd have known that when I was in the military. I'd have had much more entertaining, free fall jump master briefs, right?
Hey, Reuben, I'm just going to jump in here, and since you're talking about your project here, Falconer Project, I love at the top of if you go to the website, which it's scrolling underneath there, the Falconer Initiative. That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done, and there's nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. Who came up with that? I'm just curious. Who developed that at the top?
Well, so this is a part of our ministry, the Voice of Healing ministry.
Mm-hmm.
The apostle, Michael Petro, is it's his church.
Okay.
And, he's a civil engineer. He was, he's the one where the whole, where they got the heavy equipment mechanic and operator
Gotcha.
part of it. So he, so that's where that came from. He's got a technology company. He actually contracts with the U.S. Navy, implementing technology into Navy ships, and so they're bringing the broadcast communications discipline to the program. So between those two guys, those are the baseline, the core disciplines that they're going to be working on. Then I'm bringing the financial literacy to the program. It's interesting. I've read the Bible cover to cover 16 times. And I've been reading the same chapters of Genesis, Psalms, and Proverbs. Now I'm into Matthew. Same chapter every day for a month. I get something totally new. But these guys do something a little bit different. They go by the old, the early church teachings.
Yeah.
The Hebrew meaning. So the best way I can describe it is like there's Greek, which is, English is translated from the Greek. It's a two-dimensional language. They call it the dead letter. Okay. And then but when you look at the Hebrew meaning, there's pictorials, and there's a whole different meanings with that. Gives it a third dimension. Okay. And it like blows up your mind because, so it's like, so this is the first verse that I ever memorized in the Bible was Luke 16:9. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you'll be welcome in eternal dwellings.
There it is.
That's been the first verse I ever memorized, and that's what I'm doing. So I'll be promoting the program. I'll be working out with these veterans and ex-felons. I'll be sitting down with them and getting their financial house in order. Give them a plan for them to run their life and their business out of, and that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. One thing I have to share here. You had the picture there. I'm just going to blip it up here real quick. Obviously, that's your team there, correct? These.
Yeah, that was the platoon that I was in Panama 6 months prior to the Panama invasion. We did we did an MTT or a training in Chile, and so this is it's a Russian helicopter that we didn't jump out of this, but we all took the pose in front of it. But we were doing some skydiving there. We were using MH, or we actually were using oh god, they were civilian birds. They look like a mini C-130. They had a ramp in the back.
That young man there towards the right, would that happen to be you with the arms?
Yeah, the good-looking
folded?
one that had hair. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So that's when you were you bulletproof back then, Reuben?
That was when I was really, really, really good shape back then.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Well, you all are. I mean, I wouldn't mess with any of you, man.
I'm not in bad shape right now. I did 3 sets of 17 pull-ups in a row this morning and like 500 push-ups. I ran like 3 miles this morning.
That's not too shabby.
Like 500 push-ups total. Like 7 sets of 50, and then regular push-ups, and 4 sets of tricep push-ups, and then 10 8-count bodybuilders. Yeah, that's what I did this morning. So I'm 59 and a half.
Yeah, it's that in itself. Kudos to you, applaud to you to have that type of discipline. It really comes down, no matter what we have going on in our lives, we don't have health. There's no way wealth is going to come about. I mean, when I say wealth, it's not just how big the asset is or what goes in the bank account. Wealth is a quality of life. And, health is such an important thing. You mentioned it several times in your conversation. And I just want to acknowledge that, because a lot of times people in business focus on everything else but themselves and their health.
Yeah, Transamerica about 5 years ago came up with their Wealth and Health Community campaign. I'm like, they did their annual launch. Every year they're in San Jose. They're like, Transamerica just launched the Wealth and Health Community, and that's all they said. I'm like, what is it? So I looked it up. It was a bulletin board on steroids. It had threads like fitness, nutrition, budgeting, debt management, stress, retirement, cool videos. People were sharing their meal plans, their workout routines. And then the national marketing director for Transamerica got on a Zoom and said, there was 2 kinds of people they were targeting. There were people that were good producers. They worked and saved, and they had their fully funded 401ks and IRAs and annuities, but they didn't keep up with their health. So even though they can afford to quit working, they can't really do anything. They can't really travel because of their health, or even if they do, all they're going to do on vacation is eat at the buffet. And then there's another group of guys that, they kept up with their health. They live in the gym. They train like professional athletes, but they don't get paid like professional athletes. Usually they're behind in their finances because they're not spending time on their second, their part-time gig. They're in the gym paying to train, not getting paid to train. And they wanted to put the two together to bring both sides up. And that, that didn't work. It was like mixing oil and water. Okay. But when I was taking my wife to her appointments for, chemo and radiation and oncology appointments, I ran into so many people that they were fairly young. They were in their 50s, retired. They had fully funded annuities and 401ks. They were living off of, and but now they're spending all that hard-earned and hard-saved money on doctors and hospitals. And so, and I preach these young guys. I was like the same way. They're just carnivores. They're eating meat, right? And I'm like, all you need is like 8 ounces of meat, right? And I'm not a vegetarian, but you don't want to have all that meat. That's what you get. That's where guys get colon cancer, man. They're every meal every dinner they're barbecuing, man, and that meat sits in their stomach and starts getting nasty, and they get polyps, and they start that's where those free radicals start coming from that cause all the damage in their system. They got to learn green leafy proteins,
Yeah. And this is sort of goes along in line with what you're talking about, is that, health is so important, making the right investment in the right health strategies, lifestyles, and all that. Because for every dollar we spend in lifestyle changes, it's saving us 50 to 1 in the future. So if we spend an extra $1,000 a year for good nutrition and gym memberships and all the things, and we're disciplined to exercise and do those things, we're saving ourselves millions of dollars of assets just by those strategies. And the number one cause of chronic illness is stress. And the number one cause of stress in our culture is money issues. So we can bring that
There you
stress
go.
level down.
I'm
We
quoting you.
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, that's a reality. That's a fact. Money is the number one stressor that we have in our culture, and stress is the number one cause of chronic illness. If we can reduce our stress levels, start with the money issues, we're going to be healthier long term.
Well, I'm, you guys, what you guys do, talking to businesses about, increasing, reducing their overhead and, increasing their bottom line, I that is going to be so valuable coming up here. And then small businesses is going to be where it's at.
Yeah.
And if it's, whether, I'm always looking for people to come on board with my business, but if some people can't, pass the test, there's other things that they can do that, maybe you're more down there, but that you got to do something. You got to do something, thinking you're going to get a job and be able to make enough money to live on those days. I mean, right now, the businesses that have the least amount of debt, the most amount of cash, they're going to survive. Right. But they're smart about, they're not going to be, you come into their business, you're thinking you're going to take up space and suck up oxygen and get paid. Those days are over. You better be producing.
You said something, Reuben, that's so important because this is a whole platform. We're talking about yourself and what you're doing and what you're sharing is people need to hear it. And a lot of people are in denial, don't want to hear it. It's never going to happen to me. All those things. I lived it in 1983 when I got involved in the financial services industry. It was hell. 19% mortgage rates. I mean, the stuff that people can't even comprehend. And that got me in the industry because I was heading down the wrong path I had no clue. Okay. And that woke me up. But you mentioned is take control, be in business for yourself. And maybe financial service is a passion and a place to be because there'll be always a need for what do I do with what I have more effectively? And you're right. So there's always going to be a need. So being in business is so important. Mark and I are, I've been in business for myself. Since 1983, I've had dozens of companies that I've created, and I educate people why they should have different options. There's different ways to go into business, but most people, number one, may be gifted and talented in something, but they don't have any business acumen or the resources. And just even become a gardener, lawn mowing, you need $100,000 just to get the truck down the road, right? So a lot of opportunities are limited. So I always educate people, what are the other options out there? We won't get into it tonight, but it's so important to look at all the options where you can pick up an extra $500 a month on a part-time gig, get the tax advantages. I always tell people, you should be in a business, not a hobby, a legitimate, meet the IRS requirements. And what would it do in your family budget if you had a real business that just generate, not even talking major bucks, big money, which a lot of people promote. What would it do for your financial well-being with an extra $500 a month? You get those taxes. I'm not a CPA, so get the advice from me. But the amount of money you save in taxes by being a true business is pretty significant. Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
That itself will make you wealthy. Just saving, instead of going to Uncle Sam, it comes to you, and then you put it in programs that you educate people on. Plus, an extra $500 goes along. Extra $500 a month could do a lot for somebody in the long term. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, it can change their life.
Absolutely,
can change their whole life. This is when you get employees that are paying attention, they're paying attention to their money. Guess what? They become better employees. They pay more attention. They're going to work more overtime. They're going to do that because they start seeing their accounts growing, and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so they become much better producers.
Yeah, I used to educate businesses why they should have financial coaching for their employees. I had that was part of my business and my financial coaching thing. Is that what they found out statistically? Is they're not distracted by worrying about the, HR getting the calls from, their wage garnishments and all the stuff that comes down. They're under stress. They can't perform.
I got so many people that they got up there contributing to their 401k. I got a 401k. Yeah, what are you putting your money in? They don't even know.
Right.
They don't know if they're just putting it in the money market account. They don't know, my dad had a little Jew in his background. I'm named after my great grandpa Reuben Schneider, which and dad, he was so tight that he squeaked. And he taught me, what was good debt and bad debt. Credit cards are bad debt. The interest rate's so high, the payment's so low, you'll never pay them off. Good debt is like, if he needed to buy a piece of equipment like a tractor or a combine, was it smarter to work and save to buy that piece of equipment cash, or would inflation just keep it this far out of his reach? If that was the case, he'd finance that piece of equipment, put it to work to make more money to pay that loan off faster. He'd say, you got to think of yourself as being in the egg business, and your money's your chickens. You don't want to eat your chicken.
Yeah. Hey,
And
Reuben, Mark's under stress. I don't want him having coronary.
I'm not under stress.
But tonight, Reuben, I tell you what, I want to have you back.
We're definitely going to have him back. Yeah, I mean,
and the reason I'm bringing this up is his anniversary. He has a commitment with his loved one.
Oh boy!
And so I want to make sure he doesn't go into a state of stress. But you're bringing a lot of great wisdom, knowledge, that people need to hear. And would love to really have you back again. I don't want to. And I tell you what, 60 minutes goes in a hurry, doesn't it? In this type of interview.
I really appreciate you guys, showing that little format video. I mean, I love my
Sure.
background. I love what I did in the military, and like a lot. I got stories. But then we don't get to anything that really is helping anybody right now.
Right.
And right now is, what's happening? We didn't have this heads up in 2008. All of a sudden, it just happened, right? We got a little bit of heads up. I mean, they're expecting early next year things are going to go bad, right? But it's like those businesses that have a lot of capital and low debt are going to make it through this. People that have assets, that have an income stream, they're going to make it through this, right? But they're attacking jobs, and that's why business is important, because you know what? They can't fire you from your business.
Exactly.
Right.
That in itself is a degree of certainty and security that everybody should embrace and look at seriously. And using financial principles you teach. Reuben, what else? How can other people reach out to you? You have besides the scrolling website, do you have an email that we can put up there, or?
Yeah, it's Reuben.Lowing at gmail.com. I'll put it up here. And I'm working on doing a funnel. My website you have up there, there's an appointment tab. You can fill it out there, and I can get you some information. We do these workshops for free. I can schedule you for people for workshops. They do 6 workshops, Monday through Friday, 3 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 on Wednesday. And then, of course, we do them. I do meetings. I can do them too for people on Zoom individually if they can't make those times. But just educating you, and then we'll take that information and put it to work for you. And there's, I've been, like I said, I've been known to sit down with business owners, go through their bank statements line by line, and figure out what's business expense, what's their business income and business expense versus their personal income and expense, and so they can do their P&Ls, right? And you got too many letters in there, man. I don't know where the H came from.
Well, I don't know, man. I think I copied it from you.
A typer.
It's undercover.
Yeah,
it's a sniper.
You got sniped.
So the
how's that, Reuben? There you go. I'm
go.
messing with you. I like to have fun. I'm sorry.
My mom was my high school English teacher. She kind of rubbed off on me. Yeah, being an editor.
I just wanted to point out what Tom and you were talking about. I learned a lot. Just I learned to keep my mouth closed. But the one thing that I really appreciate is the transition you made um, from what you did in the military, what you're doing now, and what's next with this Falcon Air initiative, which that's why I said what's now, what's new, and what's next. And you got it going on in spades, my man. Definitely. I commend you for that.
Well, this is my dream position, man.
Right.
I get to work out with
Right.
these guys. I get to help them with their finances. I mean, there's nothing like it. I used to teach boxing. It's exciting teaching somebody how to, do it right, hit the heavy bag and make it pop, right? Or shooting, get them in the black,
Mm-hmm.
But there is nothing like helping a family, see the light at the end of the tunnel, that the guy can quit working and have a life, early enough so he can enjoy it, or they can get their kid to pay off the mortgage, get the kid to college, right? I mean, there's nothing like it.
Right.
Nothing is as satisfying as that, because nothing impacts. And that's the whole problem we're in right now. We wouldn't be in this financial situation. I did a video the other night. We got to have people that understand money to be running our government, because the ones that are in it right now, they do not. And they got, the strategies they're talking about are just idiotic, and it's criminal. And we need to, people need to be. It's because our population is not educated. If they were, they'd hear some of the things these guys are talking about, and they would know that they don't know anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our vote does have implications.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people become a student of what's going on, and your vote does matter, and we're in critical times, and I'll leave it at that. So anything that doesn't have an R on it, don't vote for it.
Yeah, my pastor and you would get along. Yeah. My apostle, that's what he's a.
Oh, that's hilarious. Not telling you how to vote or anything.
It's that critical, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they got the media all turned, and they've got people brainwashed, and they're putting out this. They're keeping them. They're dumbing them down, and it's just not right. They're. I mean, you're going to see. I mean, people aren't stupid. More people are homeschooling their kids, and so they're not being contaminated by what's going on out there. You're going to see alternative media like this. You're going to see. I mean, that's this program I'm with. They're getting a lot of money to produce, faith-based programming, that are, not, it's like you keep getting that wrong input, it's
Right.
Yeah.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Well,
Yeah.
Reuben, will you come back and share some more? Because
Yeah, like I said, I would like to talk more about what you guys do and how
Mhm.
what I do can fit in with that. Because right now businesses are, I mean, I'm helping everybody, but I'm seeing that businesses I'm targeting, because they're starting to pay attention. They start to know that they got to tighten their belt, but they got to, they can't just they've got to produce, and they've got to be smart about their money, and they got to keep the debt down and increase their reserves. Whoever has the best marketing is going to survive in this, and marketing is going to be a key. So,
And what you said there, definitely, Mark and I would like to get together with you, how we can collaborate together to help improve people's direction in life, use some of the principles you've talked about, make sure people are aware of how to win with money. What are the options you can take control of your finances, with a business, those type of things. And there are a lot of options out there, but people need to know what the options are. And I'd be glad
Right.
to help support you and your cause, find out a little bit. Maybe there's some places these things will come into play together. So
Where are you located at?
I'm in Wisconsin.
You're in
I'm up near
Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
All right.
Metro Atlanta, Peachtree Corners, Georgia.
Okay. So I'm licensed in Texas, Indiana, California, and Virginia right now. I'm looking to get licensed in Michigan and Idaho, but Georgia. If I got people there, Georgia and Wisconsin, that wouldn't be that hard.
Okay.
Cool.
And I have a big, strong business market. I have a pretty good following and stuff here, so I'll be glad to collaborate and help you any way I can. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much. I had fun on here. You guys presented me very well. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for serving.
And thank you again for everything, Reuben. I think it's great what you're doing, particularly on this Falconer initiative. I think that's tremendous.
Oh, they're looking at like doing it. The first place is going to be Houston, but they're looking at building out all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the curriculum's going to be accredited, so the VA can cover the cost with their vocational rehabilitation funding and all that, and then we have sources for grants for the ex-felons. So we got, we're our businesses that we produce can actually sponsor the ex-felons right into the program, so they
Wow.
have a job when they get out. So.
Well, we're going to stick you in the green room. Not that you're boring us, but I do have a time commitment here, and I don't want her to say, well, because of Reuben Long. No, I'm not going to do that. No, not at all. We want you to come back. Seriously, Tom wasn't kidding, and he's in a position really to take you to another level, man, and open it up. But thank you so much again for being here this evening. If I had to become a felon to get a grant, what's this? So I'm just going to share this one. You never know what the PM is never going to hear the end of it. I'll tell you what, Robert Brooker, man, we love your comments. Anyway, Reuben, thank you so much.
I'll be reaching out to you, Reuben, and Mark and I'll get together with you. We'll find a time to chat. Okay.
All right. I appreciate it.
God bless you, my friend. God
All right.
bless you.
Man, we need to get him back because he has a lot of good things. Gregory Sneed, I'm going to say hello to you real quick. Gregory, thank you for being here. And he has Prime Minister. Okay. Tom, I don't know what to say. Reuben is very knowledgeable, and it's that SEAL ethos, man. It's there's just something about those guys. And you talk about not quitting and just forging ahead. Being around a guy like that, man, just I want to knock down something or knock down a wall or throw something or just follow him somewhere. I don't know. But
I didn't know a whole lot about Reuben, and I do apologize just because didn't have all the information about him. But
right.
He hit on so many things we've talked about in other programs. And those are secret sauces. There's messaging there that validates what we've been doing and other people. And I just want to commend him. We'd love to really dive deeper, help that community out there that has the desire to be in business, or those that are veterans that or have gone, have a background that's checkered from poor decisions. Help those people out.
Right.
And I'm all about that. So we'll definitely make sure we get that conversation and get Reuben back. And we did a big broad brush tonight, but hopefully we can get a little more specific and more directed, more mission oriented than concept oriented tonight.
Right.
So, but I'll let you wrap us up, man.
Okay, well, just real quick, C is the corporate sponsor. And Tom, if you want to add anything about what a C is, what it does, you and I are involved in this. And, I love the products. I love what it does. It's helped me.
I'll just put it this way, Mark. It's the most significant health and science breakthrough of the 21st century. It's going to make the difference in people's health. It's the direction where health science is going. The most studied and most researched area in healthcare and health science today is redox signaling molecules.
Right.
And we're the only company in the world that can make this product, which your
Isn't that
body
wild?
makes naturally. So
Right.
if you're looking for an opportunity, it wouldn't it be nice to have something that makes that big of an impact on people's health and no one else has the product? Can't replicate it, can't duplicate it, that type of thing. So I'm talking the business side here tonight, but on
Right.
a personal basis, we encourage you to reach out to Mark or myself because this technology is that significant in our health. And we covered that tonight. Without our health, we can't accumulate wealth. And that's not what
Right.
goes in the assets. It's our quality of life. That's what we really need to invest in. So with that all said, that was my pitch.
Outstanding. I'm going to close this out here with something from our corporate sponsor.